if you have an issue with the hair growing outside of the lock. Now this is not something that happens to every single person with locks. This isn't something that happens exclusively to every single person that has Microlocs, but this is something that happens to a good amount of people. And I don't know if it is specifically tied to your hair texture, your hair density. It's something that I have, but I know that not everybody struggles with it. I know some people have absolutely no issue with hair growing outside of the locks and their hair just stays within the lock. I just recently did a retie about a week ago, so not really gonna have anything to show you as an example. But like I said, there are times that the hair, instead of it as it grows out, instead of it growing with the lock, you have a bunch of hairs outside of each lock. And so before I do a retie, a lot of times I will have to gather the hair and kind of twist it around that particular lock, just to make sure that I'm not having hairs from a lock over here going into this one and a lock from over here going to this one. So that is a con that comes with Microlocs and with locks in general, just because your hair can grow outside of the lock. And when you go to do your maintenance, whether it's retying or retwisting, you may end up in a situation where you have a situation like that, like I said, where you're needing to do your hair, but your hairs are going into different locks or growing outside of the lock. So it is important that when you go in to do your maintenance, that you do correct that or gather the hair, whether you're using a comb or whether you're just using your fingers, to make sure that you're getting all the hairs that you want into that one particular lock and not into all of the neighboring locks. It's not an issue, like I said, it's a con, but it's not something that bothers me. But if that's something that would bother you, your hair growing out of the lock, because it does also give this, not that it's not manicured, but it makes the base of your locks look frizzier. So for people who are really bothered by the look of frizz, by the appearance of their locks not being pristine and perfect all the time, this could be a deterrent for you. Because like I said, if you're wanting to be able to see crisp parts and whatnot, and when you go in there you're having a lot of frizz and bushiness at the root or the base of your hair, then that could be an issue for you and something that deters you from wanting locks. Marrying at the roots. Now, in all the lock journeys I've been on, with traditional locks, with instant locks, with crochet locks, with 2-strand, with comb coils, every single Microlocs, now Braidlocs, every single lock journey that I've been on, I have had marrying at the roots. And typically this has to do with how often you do your maintenance, or if you let your maintenance go longer than it should. If you're really good at staying on your maintenance, whether you're doing retwisting or you're retightening, and you do it on time, then that's not going to be an issue that you have to deal with as often, especially for those of us that, like in number 1, have hair that grows outside the locks. And when that hair is growing outside the locks, like I said, all of your neighboring locks, they start to join. And so especially after wash days, especially on wash days when you wash your hair, because unless you're braiding and banding, which I haven't done since the first month of this journey, and even if you're braiding and banding, you probably still have this issue, but you're getting in there when you're washing, you know, shampoo, conditioner, you're doing all of this and scrubbing along. And so when you're doing that, you're pushing hairs together and forcing them to coil around each other. And so you are going to have situations where your hair does naturally want to lock on itself. And so either you could be super disciplined and after every time you wash your hair, go through and separate if you have serious problems with that. I don't go through and separate every time. I kind of go through as needed, and if I come across locks that have combined, then I will separate them. But I'm not going to sit there and separate each of these 300 and something locks every single time I wash my hair. So far, who knows, when it gets longer, maybe it'll be more of an issue. But right now at this length, simple finger combing for the most part does the trick. And then when I do come across ones that have combined or are starting to combine, I'll just go through and simply pop them. And like I said, it's not the first couple of weeks after a retie. That's usually for me at like week 4 and 5 when I start noticing that my locks are starting to marry a little bit at the roots, and it's 1 or 2 strands of hair. We're not talking about serious matting. If I were to push my retie out to 10 weeks, for example, or 12 weeks, then I could definitely see that that could end up being an issue and me end up having serious matting at my roots that would cause me to need to fix that.
If you found this video helpful, then go ahead and join the flock by hitting that subscribe button. I post videos like this regularly throughout the week, and go ahead and hit that like button so that I know what type of content you're enjoying. See you in the next video.